In this video, I will break down the most commonly misused CSS properties, explain why they don't work as expected, and most importantly, how to fix them so your designs behave exactly how you want. Stick around because by the end of this video, you will write CSS like a pro. Let's start with one of the most frustrating CSS issues, z-index. Many developers assume that just increasing the z-index value will bring an element to the front, but then it still stays hidden behind other elements. Even though we set z-index 999, it's still behind other elements. Why? Because z-index only works on position elements inside the same stacking context. To fix this, make sure the parent element has a position value other than static, and check if another parent container has a z-index applied. If z-index still isn't working, check if an ancestor has overflow hidden that can clip elements, preventing them from stacking properly. Another huge confusion for developers is position absolute. You expect it to be exactly where you place it, but sometimes it doesn't appear where you expected. This looks fine, but absolute positioning works relative to the nearest position ancestor. If the parent container doesn't have position relative, the element position itself relative to the entire page, not just its container. Always make sure the parent container is positioned correctly. If you want an element to be centered inside its parent, use this trick instead. Now, box will always be perfectly centered inside the parent. If you are using Flexbox, you have probably encountered Flex Grow. It's supposed to make items expand, but sometimes it behaves unpredictably. This looks fine, but without a defined flex basis, all items might grow unevenly. Set a flex basis to control how much space the items should take before they start growing. If you want one item to take up the remaining space, give it a larger flex grow value. Now, the first item will be twice as large as the others in the container. Another super common mistake is not understanding how display works. The padding won't work properly. Why? Because display inline doesn't allow width, height, or padding to work as expected. For buttons and similar elements, always use inline block or block. If you are working with layouts, use display flex or grid instead of manually positioning items. Many developers still use margins to create spacing between Flexbox items. This works but can cause inconsistent spacing. Instead, use the gap property. Gap also works with CSS grids, making it super useful for layouts. Which mistake have you been making the most? Let me know in the comments.